Our pace of living leaves us little time for leisure. Our program will give you a chance to experience the fascinating world of traveling, extreme adventures, hunting and fishing. Each week we will take you to the most beautiful places of Kazakhstan. Zaysan is one of the oldest lakes in the world. It was formed 60 million years ago. Baikal, in comparison, is 1 million years old. There used to be whales, cetatheriums and gigantic Pliocene sharks, which were typical representatives of the Tethys Sea in prehistoric times. Their fossilized teeth can still be found in deposits deep in various fossils near the shore of Zaysan. About 65 million years ago, at the end of the Eocene age, the process of joining Gondwana and Eurasia started, which caused dramatic geological changes on the whole continent. One of the main changes is the rise of the greatest mountains in the history of the planet, the Central Asian mountain chain, and the disappearing of the Tethys Sea. The territory of Kazakhstan, as a result of these global changes, has been blessed with a geological heritage: Lake Zaysan, the Balkhash-Alakul kettle, and the Aral Sea. Favorable climatic conditions attracted the first holiday makers at the dawn of the human history. Our ancestors used to live in spacious caves, which are still found on the shores of the lake. Incredibly colored rocks found in caves can excite anyone's imagination. There is no doubt it was pleasant to live in such brightly colored caves. The colors of the rocks around Lake Zaysan are still as bright in present days as ages ago. The expedition was organized spontaneously. In the previous edition of the program, we talked about our guests from Sweden that came to the eastern region of Kazakhstan to hunt for roe deers. On the way back from this expedition, the jeep that was accompanying the expedition had to leave us for 3 days. We ended up being on the shore of Lake Zaysan together with the expedition cook Sergei. We had 3 days in our disposal to study all the beautiful sights near the lake. We didn't want to waste the time and turned this force majeure situation to an opportunity to get to know about the region more. We left Zaysan city and went towards the Chinese border. In 30 kilometers from the border, having passed the Aynapulak settlement, we turned towards the bridge over the Irtysh River. In 3 kilometers from the bridge over the Irtysh, there is a road sign that says Chingildi 20 kilometers. We are turning towards the Chingildi settlement from here, moving along an unpaved road. The monotonous road runs across the typical desert with bushes of saksao, and from time to time we see lonely trees around small settlements. The road rambles along the riverside of the Irtysh. On the left from us we see the riverbank that is covered with pebbles which, according to scientists, have been formed by the sea sediments. On the right, along the riverbank, are forests. In the northeast, we can see the Altai Ridge, and in the northwest, we can see the Kalpinsky Ridge. In the south, over the river Irtysh, we can see vague features of Tarbagatai. Soon, the forest along the riverbank changes to thick canes growing in the Irtysh-Zaysan delta. In the evening, we reach fishing settlement Amanat.
Мы на берегу Зайсана в поселке Аманат. Это поселок рыбаков.
We are on the bank of the Zaysan in the Amanat settlement. It's a fisherman's settlement. The whole population of it does fishing for a living. We have got drinking water and are looking for water now. It's difficult to get it here. And the guy is telling us how and where we can get the petrol. Fishing and breeding cattle are the only trades for local people. The lake is rich in such fish as perches, carps, pikes, common breams, barbot, eyed, ratline and saroshka. On average, one fisherman throwing nets is able to catch 100 kilos of fish a day. It's a good source of income for local people. Sergei and I bought a couple of pikes as we were planning to make dinner. It takes about 40 minutes to get to Kerish from Amanat. The first thing we see at the place is a mirage, surreal features of fantastic buildings. As we approach the site that resembles a mysterious city, we see unusual castles, pagodas, yurts and towers made of rocks. The name of Mount Kerish translates from Kazakh as a proud handsome man. Yellow and white clays and sands of Kerish were formed 30 or 25 million years ago in the era of Oligocene, and the red clays had been formed 10 million years earlier in the Eocene era. The soil of the area keeps the remains of ancient prehistoric tropical and subtropical forms of life. After the formation of the Antarctic ice shield, the flora of the region changed dramatically. Warm temperate vegetation replaced tropical plants. The former had leaves. The plants are called the paleoflora of the riparian forests. These forms include different kinds of platans, alder trees, elm trees and chestnut oaks. For the past several thousand years, an intensive process of desertification has been taking place, the so-called aridization or the expansion of the desert. Mount Kerish is an officially recognized natural monument. Its area is 300 hectares. It rises over the stone valley with some rare saline lakes, filled with no water but salt. It is mesmerizing to look at the kaleidoscope of brightly colored soil and stones with ancient traces of flora lit by the evening sun. Green-gray and green-brown shades of color turn to pale gray, yellow and white, as well as from red-brownish to bright red and salmon red. The sun and wind are the greatest sculptors that have been working hard to please our eyes. It's impressive. We can see a lot of caves here. Apparently, they were homes for our early ancestors. Archaeologists from Usk-Kamenogorsk are identifying the age of these paleontological huts. They are about 50 to 60,000 years old. This was before the Cro-Magnon people, that is, a previously existing human race. It's a real paradise for paleontologists. If we wanted to show the wide range of findings and fossilized remains of ancient vertebrates, it wouldn't be enough to devote the whole program to them. The findings in Kerish include 5 kinds of floristic gradients and 4 with the remains of bones of the ancient prehistoric vertebrate animals of the periods of Eocene and Oligocene. There were various rhinoceros and the ancestors of swine, ruminants, crocodiles, tortoises, salamanders, and many other representatives of the subtropical forest wildlife. The place is rich in fossilized remains of the Paleogene era and is one of the few places in the Eurasian continent that has unique prehistoric legacy. From Kerish, we go to see another natural monument, the Shekelmes Hill, which has been formed with carbon sea deposits. Shekelmes or Shepelev's cave. There used to be a rich Russian merchant's house here. The merchant's name was Shepelev. The cave was named after him. Organizer of tours Aelita tells us that her grandfather had told her that he would sell fish to merchant Shepelev. Gone those days, and today nothing reminds us of the merchant's house, nor there is white fish that used to be abundant in the lake in Shepelev's times. There is only the name left, Shekelmes. We go up the hill where we have a view of the lake. There are 2 boats pulling fishing nets towards Cape Baklaniev. The features of the mount can capture the viewer's imagination. They resemble a dragon's teeth, which in fact are stalagmites, caves, salt lake traces, meadow vegetation, and traces of dried springs. When we stop for a break, we decide to cook the fish we have bought earlier. Sergei is a professional cook. He shows a real masterclass on how to cook pike in a field environment.
Полевая кухня – это самая лучшая, самая вкусная кухня. Готовится все легко.
Meals cooked in a field are most delicious. Everything is easily cooked. You just need a few efforts and a little patience. In a clearing near the lakeshore, we meet a couple from Vladivostok who decided to make a world tour. They have already been to Mongolia and part of Kazakhstan, and now are moving to Uzbekistan. On their way to another Central Asian country, they are visiting the most interesting places of natural beauty.
Находясь на пенсии, мы решили отправиться в кругосветное путешествие. Члены внедорожного клуба уссурийского «Рубеж».
Being retired, we decided to make a world tour. We are members of international club Rubesh from Ussurisk. We are keen on visiting places with natural landscapes. We have just arrived in Kazakhstan. This is in western Kazakhstan. This is the old Austrian road. The places are beautiful. Sergei and I discovered a Neolithic hut that used to be a hut for early human beings. We see the holes that used to serve our ancestors as doors, windows and holes to let out smoke. This hut has of course been discovered before us for many times. But this doesn't make our discovery less exciting. We have the feeling that we have made a serious archaeological discovery.
Очень твердый материал. Камень.
This is a hard material. A shining stone. Look, this is made of gypsum. I think this is made of clay. Clay or gypsum? This is made of gypsum, I think. Gypsum, maybe. I think these stains are from smoke from fire. See? Look at these rock drawings. Ages ago, our early ancestors used to live in these caves. Archaeologists from Usk-Kamenogorsk are identifying the age of these Paleolithic huts that were found around Lake Zaysan. They were used 50 to 70,000 years ago. After Shekelmes, our next destination is regional center Kurchuma, where we have to go to the left shore of Bukhtarminsky Lake on a ferry. The ferry goes there once in every 2 hours. We managed to get to the ferry.
От Курчума до Усть-Каменогорска можно проехать по правому берегу через Зыряновск. Но если...
From Kurchuma to Usk-Kamenogorsk you can go along the right shore past Zyryanovsk, but if you want to use the ferry, your trip will be 200 kilometers shorter. Now we are crossing the lake towards the Kurchuma ford. The first ferry leaves at 6 a.m. and then leaves once in every 2 hours. On the shore we notice some fishermen. They are lucky today as the local fish, reapers, are biting the bait well. One of them tells us about the taimen fish as heavy as 25 kilos. The fish still inhabits Bukhtarminsky Lake, but taimen is in the Red Book of Endangered Species and fishing for it is prohibited. The fine for catching this fish is more than 100,000 tenge. Yes, the fine is huge, but we don't catch the fish to eat it. As soon as we catch it, we let it go, smiles the fisherman. We are approaching the Kaznakovsky Piers. The ferry trip took us about 30 minutes. As soon as we start our car after the ferry trip, we realize the car needs a little repairing. Having fixed the problem, we go on. Here we are in Usk-Kamenogorsk. Our unexpected trip is over, but within these 3 days we have managed to see a lot of interesting and beautiful things. See you next week.